And the season ends just like that. Nothing but sadness and despair. Let's talk about it.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Live game reaction coming off just season ending. That's it. That's the last game of the year. That's the last game of the season. And that's how, guys, this is
it's fitting.
This is the taste of the offseason, man. And it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. Thank you for being here. This is the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Ryan Herrings. Appreciate the absolute heck out of everybody in the community. Love these two guys on the show right now. We got Mike behind the mic, who's an incredible dude as well. We'll do some big picture. What went right, what went wrong, quarterback thoughts, discussions, coaching. We'll just kick it around big picture. And for me, guys, I'm just sad. I'm just like really bummed. We're going to get into very specific things, but it felt like we had momentum, and it feels like this loss just took a lot of that away, and it just really bumps me out, guys.
The all the goodwill we had, everything, just that we could have went into the offseason with such hope and excitement about what was coming because of how well we played. We could have had 3 wins out of our last 4. We could have had 2 ranked wins and an axe. We could have had a lot of good stuff, but instead we're left with just this awful feeling that we're all feeling right now. I'm so mad about the refs at the end of the game and the targeting not being reviewed and the hit on Hunter Simmons without that. But I'm just so upset that we got in our own way. We were driving Hunter Simmons to horrible picks. I just wanted this to be the game where we could get excited about the fact that he's staying. Fickle's going to be here. So I wanted to at least be excited about something. But instead, we're left with that crap. And we're left with Minnesota and that god-awful coach PJ Fleck and those guys holding up the axe. I want to just punch them on the face. I'm so freaking pissed, man. I was so excited about going into the offseason with something to be happy about. And instead, it's that.
Yeah, every time I watch this team play, and this is why we're all out on Fickle. Every one of us looked at it, and this is what he does. He'll have games where he has like Oregon last year where they look really good, or Penn State last year where the team plays really hard for him. And it's like, that's a great effort. And then you come out and play a crap team. This is the worst team we've played out of the last 4 weeks. And you're just total garbage. And for as much as I've been told by people, well, look at the lines getting better. Where? Because our running game is just pathetic. Like, this is a game that you should be able to just go in the trenches and say, we're just gonna be more physical. We're gonna beat them up. And I've had people telling me for like the last week where I would talked about what we need in the portal this offseason in linemen. No, we don't. We're young. We're gonna be good. Don't worry about it. It'll be fine. It's like bull. Every time I watch this, I sit here and I see an offensive line that is just trash in the run blocking. And I see running backs getting hit at the line of scrimmage and borderline getting taken out of the play so they can't run for any plus yardage. I realize some of these guys are young, but you can't go into next season looking like this and expect this offensive line to be a good running team. You need a center. You need a right tackle at the very least. And I don't know if I trust any of these other guys that we're going to keep to be plus players in that. Do you get to average? Because if you want next year to be a big step in the right direction, given the style of offense that you say you want to play, they can't be average. You've got to be legitimately good at running the football, and you haven't been able to do it. And nothing I've seen from you says you can figure out how to throw the football either. So looking at this is the worst offensive football team I've seen from Wisconsin in my entire life.
Yeah.
And that is not hyperbole. That is accurate.
I don't think it's close. And, these are what the reaction shows are for, right? Like, it is therapy for everybody. We're frustrated because we love this program and we want it to go forward. And this is just not the way to end the season. By the way, I'm not going to tell you what's in my coffee mug right here. I'll just keep drinking that throughout the show and let's see what kind of takes I have. Again, I'll say this, man. You're hitting on the offensive line, Justin, and I agree, man. That thing needs to get better. I'm going to hit on quarterbacks. This quarterback room is just awful. And I think we need to have a discussion about –
it's the worst in not Power 4 college football.
I think we need to have a discussion about you can't rep the entire time with Carter Smith, and then Hunter Simmons comes in and makes one good throw, and then you completely go away from Carter Smith in the second half. Either Carter Smith is your guy and you've repped him all week. I didn't hate the idea, and Rajiv and I talked about this, of having a package of Simmons coming in, but you can't just not play Carter Smith in the second half if he's been your quarterback the entire week. And I'll tell you, the one thing Carter Smith doesn't do is he doesn't throw bad picks. He takes care of the ball. And I'm telling you, it drives me nuts. It feels like they're so reactionary, man. Hunter Simmons makes a great throw to get us into this position to score a touchdown. But then the entire second half, there's no Carter Smith at all. Guys, they can't.
Carter was doing such a good job. He was even protecting our receivers from it by throwing it 30 yards over their head on a wide open play.
I mean, but he didn't throw picks.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely was, as we talked about, I was in favor of Hunter Simmons playing more in the second half for sure. I said I wanted to, honestly, you just had to play them both because Carter couldn't throw the ball. Hunter could, okay. But what we've learned about Hunter Simmons is that when he is the full-time starter, he turns the ball over. Mm-hmm. Watch the Iowa game. He just turns it over constantly. Yeah, he can have a great drive. He can have a great throw. I said in the Discord, I'm like, I feel like he has 5 good plays in him and he used them all up. It's just, he has good throws in him, but they've got to be schemed up really well when the defense isn't prepared for them so that he doesn't throw it into double coverage and just get it picked off. And instead he played every play in the second half, which I don't really get that. But yeah, I totally agree. I just think that it's really, really upsetting that we get so close to actually doing something good, and then it just blows up on our face. And those 2 interceptions were horrendous. The second one, quarterbacks in high school don't make that throw. You can't throw that ball. I mean, what are you? Are you literally only looking at the guy dressed in white? You have to look at the defense. There's no chance that throw is ever complete, ever. And yet he threw it. And I'm like, this is like the Iowa game. He turned the ball over constantly. One of the worst interceptions I think we've ever seen ever in our life until today. We saw another one. He keeps throwing these outs when he's not looking at anyone else. You can't do that. There are bad decisions made by the coaches today. And that's why I'm so pissed. It's like we could have won this game. As you said, Ryan, in the Discord, Minnesota's not that good. Minnesota's not that good. But they beat us again because we get in our own way every time.
I want to really quick, Justin, I'm going to get to you in a second. I want to throw this up here because I want to be clear in my point. Akefo says, no, Ryan Smith is not good. My point isn't necessarily that Carter Smith is the answer. My point is if the coaching staff decided he's been the guy for the last 4 weeks and you've been repping him as the number one, you can't then just bench him in the middle of the rivalry game and never go back to him, is my point. And maybe I'm wrong. This is also we're frustrated because we love this program and we hate Minnesota, man. So I'm emotional. I'm salty. I don't think you had to go completely away from Carter Smith. Justin, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Yeah, I don't know what the goal was offensively to do to start this game to begin with. Because I'm looking at it and you're running Carter more than you're running the running back. And I'm like, how do you expect this to play out? Like, you're going to get Carter killed? Because he's probably not I love Carter. He can run for a quarterback, but he's not the type of quarterback athlete that you look at and you say, if the defense knows that he's going to be running the football, he's going to be able to still be productive. Like, he's a guy who's going to be – he's a Jake Plummer. He's that type of guy where, if you let him scramble around, he can make some things happen. But he's not a guy that you want to sit out there and be like, we're going to Tim Tebow you and just run you through the line, and he's 240 or 250 pounds. He can just push through people. I don't know what you're trying to do in this game, and you weren't giving him opportunities when you were throwing – I would like to go back and look at some of the pass plays to see what was missed there. There were plays where guys were open on a couple of them. The second stretch miss was just bad. All he had to do was kind of toss it up, and that there was nobody there. But I just don't know. Looking at this, it feels like the staff doesn't have really an idea what they're doing. Meaning they just don't feel strongly about anything. It's like, well, let's give this a try.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like there's enough conviction. I think that's a good spot to pause. We have to get to our friends of the show. We're going to come back. A bunch of your starred comments. We got to talk about Jeff Grimes and the offense. We got to talk about what's next. Does this kind of invalidate the late season momentum? A lot to get into here. Big picture thoughts. What went right still? There were a few things. What went wrong? There are many. Coming up next in Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our friends of the show. brought to you by somebody in something that never misses, you guys. And I don't know about y'all. I'm a great gift giver. Maybe you guys aren't. I crush it. But if you are struggling with gifts, Omaha Steaks has got you covered this holiday season. Omaha Steaks is incredible. Right now, they give you the perfect gift. They make it too simple. They take the stress out of the holidays, whether you're treating yourself, because you can give yourself a gift. That's called self-care, gentlemen. Get yourself some steaks for Christmas. Let's take care of ourselves a little bit. But it's also something memorable for friends and families. Omaha Steaks delivers handcrafted perfection right to your door. And the variety is incredible, right? It's steaks, burgers, sides, but also desserts. You can get everything you need to live a fully sustained life on Omaha Steaks. And the quality is exactly what they're known for. Tender steaks, rich flavor, meals that make hosting, or maybe you just want to eat in by yourself. Get some Omaha Steaks for that. Right now, save big on unforgettable gifts with Omaha Steaks. Visit omahasteaks.com for 50% off site-wide, next to 20% off select favorites during their cyber sale. And for an additional $35 off, use promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code COLLEGE. Terms to apply. See site for details. Let's come back into this. I'm so discombobulated, man. I didn't even play my normal ad media. We didn't even throw in our therapy session.
Hey, Doc, I need to talk about it. My head is going to explode. What the heck just happened? It's the therapy session on Locked On Badgers.
That fits well with somebody saying I was going to have a stroke.
Yeah, Justin's fired up. Let's. So I let off on the last segment. Let's start with Justin on this one. Jeff Grimes. He doesn't have the quarterbacks he wants. The offense line has been hurt. Where are you at on Jeff Grimes? Obviously, you were pretty high on him coming into this year.
I was higher on him coming into this year. He's just too inconsistent. Like you and I had talked in the offseason a little bit about him, and you said that a lot of what people were frustrated with him is like the play structure that he like the way that would kind of offensive flow that he would call. Yeah, we're seeing it. Like games like this are when on the 3rd and 11, you throw a ball on a wide receiver screen in a snow-filled game where it's hard enough for the receiver to get his feet. If somebody can trigger downhill on him, he's not going to make anybody miss. So I don't know why you're running that play in that situation. It sets you up for the play of the game, which effectively, listen, I'm not going to dive into the targeting. It was targeting by the word of the rule. Is a defenseless receiver, and the guy led with his shoulder. And the fact that you didn't review it, at least, if it doesn't get called and they review it, I'm fine with it. I'm really pissed off that they didn't do anything with it and at least take a look at it, because he threw a shoulder on that. That was not, right into the guy's head. So, or upper body, whatever, above the neck. So I don't know. I'm just super frustrated with his play calling in this game. I don't know what you do with him, because I don't feel like he's going to necessarily be a plus in us picking up players. Like people said that, he's recruits like him. Okay, well, take a look at our recruiting class in his first year. Are we like 75 or something like that at this point? I don't think recruits love anyone in this staff right now based off what we've seen this season. So I don't really care about recruiting ability at this point. I want somebody who can teach an offense, and I want it to be coherent and functional. I don't even care if it's necessarily the scheme, although I do like a power spread. But you've got to have somebody that can, at least the people that are running that trust their vision and buy into it. And I don't feel like that is going to be the case with this, because it feels like you don't feel strongly about anything you're doing within the scheme. It feels like you're more trying to show off than actually try to structure something that's going to get receivers or running backs into a positive situation. It feels very egocentric.
My thing right now with Grimes, the play sequencing is atrocious. Like there's no doubt about what's going on there. I mean, with Carter Smith, you're running it on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, the QB draw, the most predictable play ever is his doing his stupid QB draw. Like it's fine. You need that play, but you don't need it constantly. Then when Hunter Simmons comes in, and he actually has the threat of throwing the football, then you can run a bit more at times, like too much, where you were getting a little too pass happy, in my opinion, when Hunter got in there. Obviously, late in the second half, you have to do it. But early in the second half, you could have run the ball a bit more. And you saw Dupree had broke a couple there. And I think that there's no flow, there's no feel for the game. I'm going to stay consistent on one thing with Grimes. I know this will piss a lot of people off, especially you, Ryan, right now. And I just feel like I absolutely am disgusted with what I'm seeing out of Jeff Grimes right now, but it's very hard for me, again, to judge an offensive coordinator when they even said the stat, like the starting quarterback is playing so few snaps for us right now. I just don't know what he's going to be with a better quarterback. I think we obviously are going to get another quarterback in the portal. I'm not saying, like, if I found out tomorrow that Jeff Grimes lost his job, I would say fine. Like, okay, I'm not going to complain about that, but I'm also not going to say that I think he absolutely has to go now, because I just think you got to see what he can do with not a fourth string quarterback. And that's the case. That being said, because that's my position, I'm going to keep it that way. This is ridiculous. Like, you can't have these kind of mistakes like this. You have to do whatever you can to win games. You can't do whatever you can seemingly to lose everything. And it's just awful. I'm really upset about Grimes, but I'm still not out on him just because of the injury situation.
Yeah. What I'm going to say on that, not to cut you off, Ryan, but is with the play sequencing discussion on here, I'm out on him simply because I think he could cost you with a good quarterback some situations in late game where he gets cued on something that ends up blowing the game for you. And that's my concern with him after seeing this, where it seems like he just doesn't have a feel for things.
I feel like we talked after the Indiana game, and I hear your point, Rajiv. It's valid, right? Like, he hasn't been dealt a full deck of cards. I think it's fair. It's certainly fair to say that. But I feel like we talked after the Indiana game. We said we need to see progress. Like, we need to see now, if you're going to have Carter Smith getting number 1 reps, and he's going to be getting reps the rest of the season, I don't know where that progress has been. I don't think anybody expected Carter Smith to morph into Steve Young down the stretch, but it looks like he still can't throw the. It still looks like nothing has been put in that makes sense for him. And I just don't believe you can take a 4-star quarterback that had a Michigan offer and other really good offers, and over the course of 4 weeks, not develop any semblance of a passing game. Mm-hmm. And that's what frustrates me and worries me. It feels like we haven't moved forward at all.
But he had guys that were open. He didn't find them. Like, that is a thing too. Like, they even showed a couple of clips from the All-22 on the broadcast. Like, obviously we're going to watch All-22 and see what happened for real. But I mean, it's not like there are never guys open. He's not finding them. That's not on Grimes. Look, I'm not trying to be a Grimes defender here. I'm just saying, like, some of that stuff's just on the fact that we're playing a 4th-string quarterback. And if we were playing a guy that saw that, what would we be saying? I don't want to go into a whole Grimes defense. I feel like that's part of the equation.
I think my pushback to that, though, would be then you got to put in routes that make sense to him. Like, if you go back to Carter Smith in high school, he's an RPO slant guy. That's what he throws. It's not go back and read deep middle crossers. Like, at some point, if you're the OC and that's your quarterback, you got to put in stuff that makes sense for him. And if he's not seeing those guys, that is on Carter Smith. I think you're totally right. But it's also on Jeff Grimes not putting in things that he's going to see naturally. I think there's blame on both sides. I think we're all frustrated. What's the biggest thing outside of quarterback play? Maybe Grimes, or maybe it is those things, guys. And I'll maybe lead on this one. The biggest other thing that frustrates you right now out of that game, to me, I got to be honest, I expected more from the defense. Like, we spent 20 minutes almost talking about Grimes and offense and quarterbacks, but this is what we've seen kind of all year to some degree. Mm-hmm. You have Darius Taylor going for 100+ yards on 19 carries.
A team we should dominate defensively, and they just roll over.
This was a Gophers rushing attack that's not that good this year. Now, some of that is because Darius Taylor's not been healthy. When he's healthy, he's a difference maker. But guys, like, you can't give up 100+ to Darius Taylor in snowy conditions when you've been the best part of this team. I thought the defense lacked a little bit of emotion. There was no real game-changing plays. I expected more from them, honestly, because the bar was high, but I expected more.
They're bad. I agree with you. Run blocking.
I agree with you. I think that I don't want to go in too hard on them because I think that the conditions were obviously tough. It neutralizes some of the pass rushing ability. That being said, I think Mason Post got into some bad positions a couple times. One of that long run to Taylor, I think, was kind of the fault of some of those guys on that side. He also missed a hole later in the game on one of the big runs. There was a passion and a energy they were playing with in the last couple games that wasn't there today. But at the end of the day, though, I think the defense did enough to win the ball game. Like, 17 points to Minnesota is not something that I'm like distraught about. I think that's reasonable and okay. And let's not forget that those we had a couple turnovers that put our defense in bad situations for them to score those points. So if you look at just the defense as far as scoring production and you factor in the turnovers, I think they did an okay job. Did it deserve more from them? Sure. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to go in too hard on them. I think ultimately for me, this game falls squarely on quarterback play and Jeff Grimes. And I'm not bothered by anything else for the most part.
What else bothered you, Justin?
Yeah, I didn't love the run defense in this game. I thought the defense beyond that was okay, but I felt like there were situations where every time they get like a 1 or 2 yard stop, the next one you give up a 6 yard carry. And it's like, okay, well, you keep putting them into situations where you're making it easier for them. And you can't afford to give up 6 yards on this. You got to wrap up and tackle. They had multiple times where they could have taken him down before getting to that point. And instead, you end up giving up the yardage that puts them like a 3rd and 2. And that was them. Like, I called it going right before he broke the long run. I'm like, defense is going to break like this if we can't do anything on offense. And sure enough, like 30 seconds later, he breaks that touchdown run. And I'm like, all right, well, there it is. Defense finally got caught on one and ended up getting sealed on the edge and him breaking a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of comments in the chat saying the defense was great, 0% on the defense. Again, I think my comment stems from the fact with how good they've been. They've been making game-changing plays, and they didn't make any today. You look at that Gophers defense, and they forced 3 turnovers. I mean, that's the difference in the game. It's turnovers. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be a great defense in the snow, you force turnovers. And it's not – I agree with the general consent. Like, this is on the offense. You scored 7 points. But if you're a defense that's been living in the backfield and getting disruptive plays, you got to force a turnover against Minnesota. You got to help out your offense. Is that unfair? Probably. And field position today was atrocious. I mean, that's another part of this game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't feel like putting too much on them. But I think the part that you can put on the defense certainly is Taylor's rushing total. That you can't allow that to happen for sure. But yeah, I mean, there were so many disadvantages the defense had. The field position was a disaster. The turnovers, like 3 turnovers and an average starting field position on plus starting field position is absurd. Like, because, you know, when you pin them deep, we were able to get them to force the punt. I mean, I think that the defense forced a lot of punts. Like, that matters too. Like, they gave our offense plenty of chances. Hunter Simmons had plenty of chances to be in this game. And instead, you know, we just got beat by the Gophers and the stupid Zebras.
Let's take one more quick break for our friends of the show. Come back. We had a bunch of your comments starred. We'll kind of wrap it up. Last thoughts. What's next? All that's coming up next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick second for our great friends of the show. A quick second, as always, say thank you for tuning in to Locked On Badgers. Today's episode brought to you by our great friends over at FanDuel. NBA season is here. FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the NBA, also the official sportsbook of the Locked On Podcast Network. And it's great because even when the game starts, if you're not in there on time or you don't get your bet in on time, you can do live in-game betting. So you can ride the hot hand if your team is mounting a comeback or trying to hold one off. Live in-game betting plus live in-game parlays to make an even bigger payout. It keeps the games exciting, and that's true for all the sports, not just NBA. Plus, NFL's going on now. You got basketball going on. Still some college football action, not for the Badgers anymore, but for other teams that you want to get in on. Right now, FanDuel's giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Head to FanDuel.com, sign up, and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Rajiv, I'm going to start with you on this one because Justin started the last one. I started the first one. Thoughts on Luke Fickell today? There were several coaching decisions, right? Early in this, or late in the second half, going forward on 4th and goal. A couple decisions in the second half, punting from short side of the field. What were your thoughts on Luke Fickell to wrap up the season?
Horrible decision making. Didn't like it. Didn't like hardly any of them, to be honest. And I said this to both of you guys, said in the Discord, and even though it worked out, I thought going for the 4th down in the first half wasn't really smart. Just my opinion. I know people disagree, but I think you take the points there because at the end of the day, like, yes, we got it. Unbelievable catch by Jackson Aker. But what if he doesn't make that catch and he happens to step on the line? Now we're down 10. I didn't like that. I would have liked taking the score, but that's fine. The other one is when you're on the 33-yard line and you go for a 3rd down and 9, you run it, and then you decide you're going to punt. That's BS all day freaking long. You cannot make that decision. If you're going to run on 3rd and 9, it's because you are just trying to get a few more yards for the field goal. You kick the field goal or you go for it. You cannot punt the ball. Yes, I know we pinned him deep, but I don't care. That was unbelievable. And so you just needed a bit more, frankly, just more balls in situations like that. And I mean, like, constant, just once again, just unbelievable decision-making. And you know what? Fickell, as the head coach, needs to get on that microphone with Grimes and say, hey, don't run. We need to do this. This is the plan. You need to run the ball. You need to throw the ball. He has to be more involved. The other thing that I'm really upset about him with is him not getting upset on the officials when you have the the targeting call that should have been reviewed, and the play a couple plays before that where the whistle blows and Hunter Simmons gets pile drive to the ground when the whistle you couldn't hear. I understand maybe people couldn't hear the whistle, but that's not an excuse. You absolutely need to throw that penalty. But what Fickell needs to do is get in the ref's face and say, you're getting my players killed. You can't allow this to happen. If he would have lost his mind on the first one, that targeting call would have been called. You could have lost his mind again. They would have reviewed it. They're not just going to let that go. So, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we know he's coming back, and we can talk about the future in this segment too. But right now, like, he has to be better in situations like this. I give Fickell a ton of credit for what's happened in the last few weeks. I said it many times, like, he deserves credit. But right now, he screwed up, and he screwed up several times during the game, and it's unacceptable, and we have to be better.
There's a couple moments in this game, guys, that really frustrated me. And you hit on some of them, so I'm not going to rehash all of them. But yes, Luke Fickell needs to lose his mind. I'm sorry. Even if that's out of character, you have to lose your mind when your quarterback gets pile drive. And after the whistle was gone, the whistle had blown and he got pile drived into the dirt, and it's a quarterback. Football revolves around protecting quarterbacks. You have to lose your mind. You have to. It frustrated me to no end. You can't punt from the 33 on 3rd and 9. I'm sorry. You cannot do it in the second half when you're down 10 in a game where you only have a couple possessions left. I am so sorry. And they ended up pinning him. You have to go for it. The possession is so important in that moment. You have to go for it. And then this one from Raul, who's been on the show, like, great dude. The clock management at the end, guys, we were running
4-minute offense
seconds off the clock.
It's like they thought that was third quarter.
These little moments in the game are killer because you are putting your team actively at a worse position. You have to go, move. I'm like screaming at the TV. You have to go. And later in that drive, they did, but they had run 2 minutes off, guys. They had 3 consecutive plays where they snapped it at 5 seconds. That can't happen at the end of the season. And that's independent of Hunter Simmons, right? That can't happen in that moment. Sorry, that was a lot right there, Justin. I'm sorry. Those things really frustrated me, though.
Oh, it's fine. And mine's going to be bigger picture here, just looking at it. Like, if you're Fickell and you're serious about, like, we've heard all this about resources and everything else coming in next year, you can't bring back Grimes. What are you selling to recruits or potential portal guys if this is what you're going to put on film and be like, I want you to come play in this. You're what we need. You can't even show that, like, this was like average. You're showing like this is just completely inept. I don't know how you sell that to recruits. Like, they'll look at it and be like, what am I looking like? How am I fixing this? Because this looks terrible. Like, we were legitimately we were going through the first quarter. It was almost halftime. And before Simmons hit that big throw, I'm like, we have 29 yards of offense. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, how is that even possible?
I mean, there's gonna be some of this. They're gonna sell it with money. I mean, yeah, you're gonna buy.
You're gonna have better teams coming for these guys. You can't have a guy that they're gonna look at and be like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. Why do I want to come play for him? And I'm not talking about Fickell. I'm talking about Grimes. So they're gonna look at it and be like, I don't want to be in that system because I don't know if it works. Whereas somebody else can sell that their system works.
Can I just say this about Grimes? Like, I think that a couple years ago, we were having the same discussion on Mike Tressel. And we were saying, like, last year we were saying Mike Tressel
never this bad.
Well, hold on. Let me just, like, I understand that. But you and me, we were both calling for Tressel to leave, Justin. And I think, so the thing is, like, right now, no one is saying Tressel needs to leave because the defense has gotten much better because we got better players. He doesn't have a quarterback. Like, I do take your point, though, on the recruiting, Justin. I think that's a very fair point about, getting people to play in this system. But he literally has no one. When Tressel didn't have defensive tackles, his defense looked like crap. Well, if you don't have a quarterback, any offense is going to look like crap. I'm not again trying to be a Grimes defender. I realize that's what I'm sounding like. I just feel like I don't think we can just be like out on Grimes because the ill effects of that, Justin, are like that's going to quarterback. But then you're getting into a cycle of constantly changing things, and I'm like, we need to grow. We need to do something different. We can't just keep getting rid of stuff like Grimes. I don't know.
It's not just the quarterback, though. The offensive line is a massive problem in all of this, too. You're going to have to rebuild both.
Which is the offensive line also had injury problems, though, too. Eat more chicken just says Ryan, question mark. You got to be more specific, bro. We lost Mike behind the mic. I don't know what this is in reference to. Really quick, I will say this. because I was the guy who was very much on, and I argued with Justin a lot on this. I remember I was like, Tressel doesn't have dudes. And now it feels like I'm taking the opposite stance on Grimes, which is fair. It's fair to point out, Rajiv. Like, it is fair to point out my hypocrisy. That is very fair. I will say one point on it. Even when Tressel's defenses weren't generating pressure and weren't generating sacks, he was never the worst scoring defense in the country. Right? There is a level of how bad this offense is that Grimes' defenses never got to.
Only program in the country to have 4 quarterbacks.
It's a fair point. I acknowledge that. It's a fair point.
What I'll say is I realize we've had some injuries on the offensive line, but a lot of this we had talked about prior to even spring practice. So most of it that was an issue was a complete lack of development and a lack of foresight by this staff, where we looked at it and it should have been like, and this is, I swear to God, I'm going to lose my mind if we go into next season looking at a bunch of redshirt freshmen saying, oh, we'll be fine. We got depth with these guys because they have talent. And we end up having a bunch of redshirt freshmen being littering the second team 2 deep. And I'm going to be sitting there like, so we're going to have the same BS that we had last year where we look at it and say, oh, by 4 weeks in, maybe they'll figure out how to play with some level of consistency, but it's going to cripple our offensive line because we have to wait for them to figure it out because you guys don't have the foresight to go out there and get people that are developed enough and ready to step in and play.
Let's take a couple comments. We'll get last thoughts. Rajiv, again, like I'll give this one to you from Dylan. We had talked about how package for Hunter Simmons. I mean, was there any part of it in the second half where you said they got to go back to Carter Smith, or at least for a package, a series?
Yeah, definitely. Because like he at least gives you the threat. Like he gives you the threat if you're gonna put Simmons in there and Smith's already played the first half, you got to do both. Like there was no reason not to do that because then, I mean, I get there's times when you need Simmons and you do need Simmons, but it's just the handling of that makes no sense. And it goes to the discussion of, heck, we can also say like, we can, yeah, this is great. By the way, Giuseppe Joseph, great comment.
Bucky Cast, behind the mic. How's our NIL looking regime?
And Mike entered the transfer portal to another podcast. Love that. Yeah, I mean, it's just bad decision making. It's bad decision making on Kenny Guyton and Jeff Grimes. Like, I'm sorry, you got to make better decisions.
Justin, this one's for you. Jordan says, I know everyone's pissed off right now. It hurts worse. Any competent quarterback with Wisconsin would blow Minnesota completely off the field. Is this as simple as just not a competent quarterback?
Yeah, I think in this game, we likely, if we can throw the ball consistently and the two, it's so weird because Simmons was actually pretty good despite those 2 massive mistakes. At one point, it was 7 of 11 for like 120 yards and 2 picks. And it's like those 2 throws completely crippled this team because they were both obvious ones. Like you stared down the defender when you threw the ball. The one that got tipped, that guy was clearly in between him and the receiver. He has to be able to see that. And the same thing with that throw, the second throw. It's like there are people that are freshmen in high school that don't make that throw. Like that guy was on his hip the entire time. There's no angle you can find to be able to complete that pass. Tretch isn't 6'4" and you can throw it up and kind of throw it over the receivers or over the defender's hand. You have to be able to just have some situations here where there's something you can do. And if you have a good quarterback in this one, I just feel like you're probably able to kind of just work the ball methodically down the field, even if you're not crushing them. But I do think it would have opened up the running game more had they had somebody who was capable of making Minnesota have to tax themselves in pass defense.
Yeah, basketball says, I feel bad for Fickle. I'm behind him. Let's get better this offseason. I do think if they're going to spend money this offseason, you can turn the page pretty quickly. Teams have shown you can reload in the portal if you have money. So that's what it's going to be. You got to go reload in the portal. No matter what happens, guys, we all would have felt a lot better if we beat Minnesota. Best case, it's a 5-7 team, though. Like, I mean, best case, if you zoom out, this season still just needs the book to close. And obviously, in these moments, we're a little more fired up because we should be, because we're I almost just dropped the F-bomb because we're fans. We're effing fans. And that's what effing fans do. You know, we love this program, right? That's what this community is built around. So we're pissed off in the moment. But ultimately, this offseason could still turn this program around. And I'm not out on Fick because of this game. I am frustrated by it. But I do agree with this comment. Like, the dude needs healthy quarterbacks. He's a defensive head coach. He needs healthy quarterbacks.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do you have concerns going into next year with a drastically revamped roster of the coaching potentially costing us games?
I think so. I think you have to have that question.
And I think that that's right. My concern is headed into next year is you could have substantially more talent and look much more functional. And when push comes to shove in big moments in games, I haven't seen enough of it from this staff that lets me believe you're not going to shoot yourself in the foot by overthinking something or being too cute or whatever in the moment.
I do agree completely that like I have concerns because obviously like I've made myself very clear I don't want him to be back next year. I still think that's a bad decision to bring him back. But like if he is coming back, ultimately we need to get the players first. Like we'll see what it's all about at this point. Like the transfer portal opens in a few short weeks. Like this is it. Like this is where it all begins. And we're going to find out very quickly how much supposed money and top third spending there really is. No, it's all relative. You can't just know that. But like, I don't know. We'll see. But I think they get the players in. Maybe we can do something with the coaching, but we'll learn quickly. And then we'll, have to decide if he can actually be here past next year.
Daniel says, Ryan, you don't answer my comments too often. Maybe once a year ago on basketball. Send another one in here. Like I get this comment like once every other show and people are like, why do you never call on my comment or you only pick your regulars? I promise you there's nothing deeper to it than I lack the ability to do it all. So put your comment back in here. Let me know what it is.
There are hundreds of comments, by the way, just to throw it
out. Like
more than hundreds. Yeah.
It's tough. Guys, I want to ask you guys both this because there's multiple questions in here, and this feels like a question that's good for everybody. Staff, I'm not a guy that wants to call for changes. And if Grimes is back next year, I'm going to root for him as hard as anybody. But does there need to be some type of change on the offensive side, whether that's at quarterback, offensive line, OC? Justin, start with you. If the answer is yes for you, what change needs to happen?
Yeah, I think you have to go, in my opinion, with probably OC at this point. Based off of what we saw today, I just don't see the consistency. Like, I don't understand the thought process. Normally, you look at an offensive coordinator, and you're kind of like, I understand what he's trying to do. The play calling can be obviously very, very, but you understand what their overall process and what they're trying to accomplish in a game. I don't feel that with him. I'm always looking at it like, what exactly are you thinking right now? And then I think if that happens, you have guys that you're going to end up swapping out simply because you want to give that guy some level of control over the people that are, implementing his vision. Offensive line. Go ahead.
Sorry, Justin. No, finish your thought if you wanted to finish your thought. Sorry.
Offensive line, clearly, if you're going to have this type of offense, has to have somebody that you trust. Blazek on me is, if you're going to bring him back, you got to have a really short leash because he's been here 2 years, and he hasn't been exactly great in either season. Like last year was kind of average. This year was well below average overall on the offensive line. We should be running the ball substantially better than what we are, and that's his bread and butter.
I think I think it starts with O-line. It's got it. I think Blazek needs to go. I'm sure he's a good recruiter, and I think that the guys probably like him, and I hear all that, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I would make a change there just because you can look back at the thing we've talked about a lot with the Davis Heinzen situation and the line depth and all those things. It hasn't worked, and it hasn't improved as much as it should have. There hasn't been enough cohesion in that group. And then the other one, listen, I hate to say it because I like the guy, and I just think I think Kenny Guyton's got to go. I'm sorry. I just don't think if you're going to go, you got to go out and get a guy in the portal. You're going to have to get a top guy. We're talking about getting one of the top guys this year with the money that we're supposedly going to spend. So you need a top QB coach too, if that QB is going to get here. And I think you got to make a change there. I don't think you need to make a lot of other changes, but offensively, I think it's the line. And also with Grimes, with the line, like he has a very distinct zone blocking scheme. He needs to have his own guy take over the O-line. You got to have a quarterback, as you said many times, Ryan, someone who can develop QBs and can really grow that position. Yeah. I mean, you can listen. I'd love to keep Kenny Guyton on as a recruiting guy or something like that, but I just don't feel like he can run the QBs. You got to make those two changes. I do not think you need to let Grimes go just yet. I have a lot of concerns, but I've made my position clear on that.
Yeah, You know what I want this offseason? Because it's tough, right? Because we're not obviously in the room, and I don't actually know how good Kenny Guyton is as a quarterback developer. Maybe he's great. But I want this offseason to be a ton of self-reflection. They really, if you want to stick with Kenny Guyton, great. You need to know he's a guy that can develop quarterbacks. And if you have any doubt, if there's any question there, you got to go get a guy. You have to go get a quarterback developer. And if you guys remember, like, I think all of us were on board with Kenny Guyton to hire as a recruiter. I think we like the ability for him to land guys. He's dynamic. He has a dynamic personality. I mean, Rajiv, I know you've talked to him. He's really liked by players, but none of that matters if you can't develop the quarterback spot. And that was always my concern with him. And I don't see what this year has shown you in his ability to do that. I think if you got a quarterback guru in the room, it'd make a ton of sense. And you could have multiple coaches now. You can turn Kenny Guyton into the passing game coordinator, right? You can have as many coaches you want now. So keep Guyton, give him money because he's a great recruiter and he probably has a future as a quarterback developer. But go get a dynamic quarterback coach to develop these guys. You have to
add to it, right? Exactly. You're right. We don't need to add to it. Like, you just need to build. You need to do something. You cannot listen. If Luke Fickell goes into next season with all the same guys, I'm sorry, that's ridiculous. You need to make changes, make the right changes, make the changes, and stand behind them. Like, own them and move on. But we've got to grow. Like, you can't have another year of 5-7 nonsense. Like, you've got to really grow this program, or it's bye-bye, buddy.
We averaged like 15 points a game or whatever it was. Like, you can't. Like, I realize we had quarterback injuries, but I don't think you can't overstate how the level of incompetence that is. Like, that's almost impossible to do.
I'll take this one here. We'll take a couple more and then we'll get people out of here. I want to be always respectful of people's times. And I know it's on a Saturday. Ken Payne says, hate when the season is over, even when it's an agonizing one. Props to all the seniors that fought day in and day out. Jackson Aker, Vinny Anthony, Mason Reiger, Daryl Peterson. We could throw Ben Barton on that list, guys. I love this.
Vinny got a big game to end it.
I love this comment. Yeah, I love this comment because there are a lot of dudes. I throw Riley Mahlman on that as well. Riley Mahlman didn't ask to be moved to left tackle. He didn't ask to say in the middle of the season flip positions because there's no depth over there. There's a lot of seniors on this team that really gave their heart and soul to this program. I think this is a great comment from Ken.
For sure. Like, we're upset about what happened today, but yeah, kudos to the guys like Ben Barton. What a freaking career. What a year that dude had. Like, it's all the good we want to talk about the defense and how well they've done the last few weeks. It starts right there up front. And we've been saying for years that if you get a guy in the middle that can muck it up and can stay up there on his blocks and can disrupt into the backfield, that's what this defense needed. And we were right. Barton playing at the level he is now is exactly what this defense needed. So kudos to him. Jackson Aker, just put him on the field. Wherever you put him on the field, he's always going to do it. Vinny Anthony, I think, has a future on Sundays. I think he's going to, like, look at Chimere Dike. He's growing his career right now. Mm-hmm. I think Vinny can do that. I hope he does. I'm just so proud of those guys and how hard they fought, because we've got a lot of guys who've given it their all. This team did get better. This team did get better at the end. Our low point, our rock bottom, I think, had already been hit after the Ohio State game. And so kudos to those guys because, and I got to say, Ben Barton, man, I'm just so proud. I'm proud of that guy and I'm so happy for him.
Yeah. He probably hopefully got himself into a postseason game where he can get some like notoriety from some of the NFL scouts. Cause I think that he's got a chance. He's going to get a UDFA, I would guess, at the minimum, but he might have worked himself into like a late round pick as a guy who can be a space eater and be a little disruptive. Like, he blocked 2 kicks this year.
Yeah, he was good this year. We have Brian Smith on the show, and he typically is pretty critical of Wisconsin, but he always says, but man, I love that big white defensive tackle you guys have. Like, yes, Ben Barton is awesome. Guys, last 2 comments here, last 2 thoughts, and we'll just open up for any last thoughts. I saw this comment somewhere, and I've lost it, and it's my fault, but 3 biggest positional needs in the portal this year. I mean, for me, it's quarterback, cornerback. I think you got to get – and then I think it's O-line. I think you got to get real depth there. Any disagreements from anybody there?
The only thing I would say is I think safety has to be prioritized. I think quarterback as well, but safety is a critical need for this team because that's in our ability to stop the run, our ability to be a good secondary. But yeah, quarterback and O-line, safety. Those are my top 3.
Yeah, to me, my top 3 would be quarterback, wide receiver, and offensive line. Too. I think you can find corners. It doesn't have there's so many of them that hit the portal that you can find solid guys. Those 3 positions, if we go into next year without massive revamping of those 3 positions, this team is in trouble.
All right, last thoughts, guys. We'll just go down the line. Justin, final thoughts on the final game of the season.
Man, I just want to be happy to watch my team play again. We had a little respite there for a couple of weeks where the defense was just playing playing insane. I'm so sick of having games like this, especially games like this. Like this game, I can lose to about anybody and tolerate it. Losing to Minnesota just makes me angry. Like, I do not like losing this team. I hate that coach more than any other. And it has nothing to do with the fact that they're a rival. I just think he's garbage as a human being and as a coach. And I think that the fact that he had a totally pathetic schedule this year and somehow can only get 7-5 out of it is telling of that.
The first thing I want to say is the season is over. So I just want to be, all the reaction shows for football are over. And I just want to say thank you to all the people that listen to this and support what we're all doing, which is so thank you for that. And we have a lot of more time to say thank you because we're going to have basketball and other stuff. But as the football season ends, thank you. The next time we're going to see this team is against Notre Dame on Lambeau Field. That is a long way away. And it's a game I'm already worried about. Rock bottom had to have been hit. That is the thing for me. Like you've hit it now. The Ohio State game was the end. And since then we've looked better. Everything has to go up from here. There can be no more regression. Just season 4. Okay. Season 4 next year of Luke Fickell. I need to see something better. And I appreciate the fact that today is not going to spoil the last few weeks for me. Like the 2 ranked wins, getting that signature victory for him. I'm gonna let them. I'm gonna hold on to that and let what happened in those couple of weeks give me hope going into next season because I'm always gonna try to see the good in it. And it's just close the book. It's done. Let's move on. It's now about who you get. You've got to fill this roster with talent, and you've got to move forward. And if you don't, next year needs to be your last year. But I do want to say last thing is the defense this year deserves a ton of credit. We would be blown out in these games if it was not for that defense doing what they needed to do. And the defensive line got so much better, and I'm so proud of those guys. But yeah, it just sucks, man. Losing to Minnesota, what a horrible, horrible way to end the season.
Yeah, it's all really well said. I should have gone before you because you stole some of my points. And life in the fast lane down there. Brandon Lane had a great game today. Had a monster for loss. He's going to be
so good. So good.
I said it in the Discord during the game. I wish we could find another year for Brandon Lane. I want to echo what Rajiv said because that was the first thing I was going to say is, as this season wraps up, another season of covering the Badgers, thank you to everybody for being a part of this community, whether you're in the Discord, whether you're leaving comments, whether you're that person that emails me and tells me I'm too negative after positive shows and too positive after negative shows, whatever it is, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I was out shopping with the kids the other day for Christmas stuff, and I ran into a guy named Chris in Walmart, and he's like, man, I love the show. And I'm like, thank you so much. So honestly, it's humbling and to be part of this because this is our community. I say this all the time. This isn't my community. It's not Justin's, not Rajiv. This is our community that we built to make it more enjoyable to be a Badger fan. There's no gatekeeping. Every opinion's welcome. And thank you for allowing us to do this. It means an absolute ton to me. I think for me, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Right? If you believe that money's going to be put in this program, I had Jake Butt on the show the other day. And if you didn't see this, I thought he had a tremendous quote. He said, because I asked him, what should Badger fans' expectations in the Big Ten be? And I don't know if you guys saw what he said. He said, if it's bottom third NIL, your expectation should be bottom third program. And if it's top third NIL, which is where you guys are supposed to go, then your expectations should be top third program. I thought that was really good. And if we're going to be a top third NIL program next year, listen, there is light at the end of the tunnel because if they're going to spend money, you're going to get better players. And that is the path to being a better program nominally. So rambling, Justin, Rajiv, thank you guys as always. Thank you everybody in the chat on Wisconsin as always. And we will talk to all you guys tomorrow.